back to Research Flow Podcast. I'm Isa, this is Uli, and today we have Daleth del Salto Vieda. And today she's going to talk about her research. She's originally from, her undergrad is from the Universidad de Valle de Guatemala. And today she's going to talk about her research and just science things. So welcome, Daleth.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
So, Daleth, you're from Guatemala, right? So, we're in Guatemala and... Yeah, we're in Guatemala.
So, there's the capital city, and I'm from like 30 minutes outside capital city. And then my university is in the capital city. So, basically, I just, travel around.
So, were you commuting to the university every day, or were you able to live on campus?
No, so in Guatemala, we don't have that thing, that we don't have like dorms for people to live in campus. You just basically have to commute every day. Some people, what they do is they kind of like rent places, like here, you just rent a house with a lot of people and then you just live close by. For me, I didn't have that option because at that moment I didn't have like a car. So I met a friend there and I will like help with the gas and then she will, pick me up and all of it.
Okay.
But it was like a commute of an hour and a half to get there and an hour and a half, back. So it was like 3 hours every day commuting. So that's something I don't miss.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot. I have never heard that.
Yeah. For my high school tidbit, I had to drive an hour away for my high school. Yeah, it was weird. I went to a charter school, so I get that. You don't notice it after a while.
Yeah,
but
you can get used to.
Yeah, if people ask me to drive an hour now, I'd be like, no way, Jose.
You went to a what? Just a
charter school?
What is
I went
that?
to a performing arts charter school. I think I told you this once.
I don't know what that is.
It's a performing arts school.
Oh.
It's where I don't know.
Go
It has
ahead, I
nothing
wanna
to do
know.
with science.
It's okay.
It's where you you get taxes from like regular schools, like public schools, and those public schools send the taxes that would have gone to your education to these charter schools. And then these charter schools get students for like a specific, there's charter schools for like engineering, mathematics, computer. I just did a charter school for performing arts.
Do you secretly want to be an actress?
I did want to be an actress when I was like in high school,
We got an imposter at LSU.
I know, right? Secretly an artist, not a scientist.
No. In my case, in Honduras, the university that I went, we actually live on campus. I mean, I didn't do it. I didn't survive. I did it only for 3 months, and then I was like, I can't do this. It's just too much for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say probably 98% of the students, they live on campus the 4 years of your degree.
Yeah.
And my university, Universidad Nacional de Agricultura, they provide you housing and the food and everything. You only need to take care of your personal things like shampoo, if you want to go out on the weekends or stuff like that. But yeah. Okay, so
Nice.
were you into biology since you were a child?
Yes, my parents thought it was a phase because I was like, I like animals, and I knew that I want to do something with animals. And then my family, like most of my family, are either like or lawyers or doctors or judges or things like that, and they were like, oh, they thought I was gonna follow.
Yeah.
It was a phase, but then I was like, my mom realized when I got to to school, she was like, oh no, she really wanted this, because I was like, biology it is.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I think that I commented this in a previous episode. My aunt, she thought the same about me, and she was like, no, you don't want to do biology, just go into finances. And as soon as I finished high school, I went to university and I was doing finances for 3 years. And then I was like, nope, I'm not doing this. This is not what I like. And I moved to a different city and I start over like in natural resources and environment, which is pretty much biology. But let's talk about you, because you're the guest. Yes. So how different is the education system in Guatemala compared to the US?
What I have seen is that here people can choose a little bit more about what classes they are taking. Like in Guatemala, you have like a curriculum that you follow depending on what career are you going to. So I remember I got only one semester that I can choose classes from, and the rest of them I got all of it. It was set. I just need to attend basically. But yeah, it's basically the same, like 6 classes a semester, same amount of credits, but the main difference I would say is like we don't get to choose. Just like if you do biology, you need to have a basic of all of that. So you get like genetics, ecology, molecular, all of it. So yeah.
So, were you taking like general classes during the first years of your program in Guatemala?
Yes.
And in which stage did you decide I want to work with animals and not plants?
Oh, so yeah, I think I've always liked to be in water more than in mainland. So because of that, I thought, okay, I could either do, and we had classes of ecology, and we did some work in mainland with bats, rats, yeah, like different mammals, but we also did a little bit of ecology with fish. And then I realized, like, no, I want to do something in water, and that's how I separated. Yeah.
Wow. What about you?
What, when I...
Why plants and not animals?
Oh,
Yeah.
I feel like plants are a little easy. Like, animals, you have this behavioral concept, I guess, and like neural pathways, and that always like spooked me when I was like, because people would talk about behavior or things going on in animals, and I was like, yeah, but like, how does that influence behavior? How does behavior influence this? I didn't want to deal with any of that thinking, and I think I went more towards plants just because I like that was something that could directly impact humans, right? Like I use plants so we can make better crops and so we can, feed more people. And that was my original thing. Yeah. But fish are also incredibly important. I don't want to say that animals aren't important to humans. I want to say that it's a different like way of kind of thinking of it. Because I know that there's a lot of importance fish, especially like...
all of them.
Yeah, literally. Like, yeah. Anyways,
cool.
Yes.
Yeah, so how was your process or your experience coming from the U.S., from Guatemala to the U.S.? How did you find out about the U.S. and LSU?
Yeah, so for me it was, I guess it was not too hard in that sense, because, at least the beginning, because my husband was doing his master's here at Tulane, and then I came with him, and then I was like, okay, I want to continue my education. So I was trying to find places that were close to where he was studying, which is Tulane. And I've been 3 universities, but Tulane was not, they work a lot with, when I was looking at, they were working a lot of behavior with birds. And I knew I wanted to do behavior, but with, aquatic animals. So that's how I got here at LSU, and I, understood that there were a lot of people working with more aquatic organisms.
Okay, I'm so curious just because I'm an international student, and so your husband was here in an F1 visa?
Yes.
And then you came with F2 visa?
No, I came as a...
dependent?
No, I came as just as a tourist. I just came here 6 months. I think that's your permit. Then I had to go back, and then I came back, and then I came for interviewing for LSU.
Do you mind telling us about, do you study like male versus female fishes? And also you talked about sexual behavior. What kind of sexual behavior are you looking at specifically?
Yes, so yes, I do look at both females and male sexual behaviors. And for females, what I am looking at specifically is egg output and then aggression.
Okay.
So for males, what I'm doing is I'm looking at 5 different behaviors that they do. Usually what happens is, like, let's pretend this is a female and this is the male. What happens is that the male will come, and the first things that he did is he started like touching the female, like really with his mouth. And then he also will do circlings, right? And he will circle the female and try to like, hey, I'm here, just like shaking his body. And then what happened is that when the female accepts the male, he is able to wrap around his tail around her and then kind of like apply some pressure and call that squeezing, and then squeeze the eggs out of her. And at the second she's releasing the eggs, he's releasing his sperm, and then the eggs get fertilized.
Oh, nice.
But that will only happen if she agrees to it. You know, everything is consensual.
I love that.
awesome.
Even the animals.
So yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now, and how exposed fish sexual behavior will vary versus control fish.
Very nice.
Yeah. Is this fish native to the U.S., invasive?
No, well, zebrafish is being used for research mostly, but I know that it's from, you know, the Asia part and all of that. So yeah.
So what's the importance of using zebrafish than other fish?
So zebrafish, I would say advantages of using it is that most research has been done using that fish, so we have a lot of information about it. So, for example, if I want to look at the genome, we have a complete genome of the fish, so all the genome has been sequenced, so we already know everything that's going to happen there. The behavior is also really well established, I would say. So the good thing about that is that if you're working with a fish that you're not sure how is the sexual behavior happening, then doing that research is going to be harder. But when you have a species that you already know all that, you just can test different factors, and then you know that those are the only variables that will affect it.
Nice.
That's nice. And how was the process? Okay, so you came to the U.S. with your husband, and then you eventually got this opportunity. So now you're working on your research. So you and your PI decided this whole project, or was your own ideas? How was that?
Yeah. So the good thing about my PI is he was really into, you can do whatever you want as long as you you work hard for it, right? So basically I read a bunch of papers of what was being studied right now, and then I came with a couple of ideas, because this was not the first idea I had. First, I was interested in studying microplastics. I was also studying salinity and how that affects fishes, and you know, all of that. But then I came across this idea, and I was like, hey, this is something we could do. And then he liked that idea. I actually liked that idea. So we just came into agreement that this would be my project.
That's very awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you could use a different fish, which one it will be?
My dream someday, maybe. So the thing with zebrafish is this is not native from here, right?
Right.
And this is not native from Central America. So I would like to start using a fish that is native to, or more, it's more representative to Central America, let's say. So I would love to do something like this with a different fish. I would like to use, it's called firemouth, it's a cichlid. It's really common all over America, the continent. So I would love to make that, I don't know, that's my dream, you know, make it that as a model species, and then use that, which I think it will be more representative that using zebrafish. So yeah.
Are there more, sorry, what were you
No,
going to say?
go ahead.
Okay. Are there more places where there's more like UV protectants, like in the environment, compared to other places?
I know that, you mean like where this contamination is higher? Yes. So I know that Hong Kong, China, the US,
Mexico.
I don't remember. There was a fourth place, but those are the three places that I remember from the top of my head that had the highest contamination of UV on water. And they're like different, it could be fresh water, salt water, like all type of,
So could there potentially be adaptations to having this extra, like behavioral adaptations? This is just me, you know, kind of riffing.
I don't know. That's a good question. Like, how would a fish will adapt to it? It will be more like how the response will make this fish more prone to a good reproduction versus not a good reproduction, I would say.
Yeah.
I think that, I don't know.
That's cool though.
Could be.
Something to ponder.
Could be. I think that how behavioral they will change usually what we're expecting to see, what I have seen so far with my data, is that males are becoming less prone to trying to elicit eggs from the females, and they are having more freezing episodes, which is basically they don't want to mate with the female. So we think that could be because the molecule that I'm working with, it's mimics estrogen, and when you put a lot of estrogens to male, they will get feminized. So we think that that could be happening. That's how their behavior could be changing.
Right, okay.
Probably, yeah.
That's so fascinating. I wanted to ask you that question, but I didn't know if it was known in your research yet or if you wanted to tell us what you were finding, but that's really interesting. That's awesome.
Were you expecting these results so far?
Well, yes. I was expecting the research because other people have done something similar to what I'm doing. So I was expecting that. What I was not expecting is, for example, females gave me higher amount of eggs in low concentrations of these compounds and less amount of eggs compared to control into higher concentration. So it seems like there is a different, there is a dose dependent thing happening. So that's really cool to know. Like a lower, you will get higher eggs, and if you like exceed this amount, then you get way less eggs. And that could affect populations differently right now because we don't, because of environment, in aquatic environments change so much. It's not a static, right? You have rain and you have water movement and all of that. You don't have like, oh, a river is gonna be constant at its concentration, right? That's not a thing. But you know, if we got to understand what concentration consists what versus what other concentrations, that you can have an idea like, oh, I don't know, maybe this year we've been seeing a low concentration, so maybe we'll get more eggs.
Right.
Or this year we've been seeing a really high concentration, maybe we'll get less eggs, you know, something like that. You can kind of start predicting once you get more data about it. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Have you had the chance to present your work so far?
No, yet. I'm working on it. I think next semester I want to go to CTAC, which is a toxicology conference. So
Fancy.
If
Where are you going?
I'm working on it. Oh, it's gonna be here at LSU.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I thought that you were going, I'm going to Oregon, I'm going to California.
Yeah.
No,
that will
maybe
come
later,
in time. Yes.
Yeah, in time.
Yeah.
I have never been to a conference either. So hopefully next year.
Yeah.
I better go next
nice,
year.
Yeah. It's nice to get grant money to pay for your hotel, your chilling out, all that stuff.
And all of that
That's
is easier once you get your data, right?
Yeah,
if you get something 2%, people are willing to give you money.
Yeah.
You can go to research, to conferences.
Yeah, especially when you have, I think this is a really interesting topic.
I love that,
And if you have the data to back up that this is a really interesting phenomenon, we should be focusing on it. Yeah, they'll
Do
love it.
you want to do like a poster or like a talk?
I
don't
will-
know yet.
I think I would love to give a talk.
Yeah.
A poster, I mean, you know, usually you get through a like vetting process in which you will send your abstract and then they will let you know, you can go. I think they will let you know, like you can do a poster, and sometimes
you got to talk.
yeah, exactly.
So you don't.
Different conferences do it differently.
Okay.
I've been to a conference where they did that, where I submitted my abstract and I was like, please give me a talk, and they said you can do a poster, and I was like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But there's other conferences where you can kind of just directly talk to the person who's setting up the specific like group of talks that you want to be a part of, and they'll be like, yes, for sure, come and join. You can talk, whatever.
Nice.
And then you can present a poster at the same time.
Yeah.
Usually our lab does a poster and a talk because there are benefits to both, right?
Yes.
With the talk, I'm not really talking to people. I'm just talking at people.
Yeah.
And they can ask me questions, but maybe only 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But at a poster, you get to know people a lot more, and I think it's actually better
Personal
for
level.
networking.
Yeah.
Because then you can get their contact information, you can talk to them. So posters are still.
Yeah, I feel like both things are good. Like, if you give a talk, more people get to know you, but you don't get to know them that much. But you know, if somebody likes your research, they can be like, "Hey, there is this postdoc position next year," something like that. So you're like, yes. But at a poster, you get to know the person.
Yeah.
oh, this person had this specific questions, and
Mhm.
so it's kind of like nice.
Yeah, I
That's
have talked to
awesome.
people and they say that they prefer like talks because you have, let's say, 10 minutes, you're up there, you answer 2 3 questions and then you're done. And then
Yeah.
for the poster you need to stay there longer.
Yeah,
and
it's a lot
people
more
come and go.
socially
Yeah,
Engage, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know
For
what-
sure.
socially demanding. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you could research UV in any other part of the body or any other system, what would you choose?
Oh, what do you mean? Can you repeat that?
Like, if you could study the effects of UV filters on any other part of the body or system, what would you choose and why?
If I could choose UV to anything, I guess I will definitely try to study UVs. Instead of zebrafish, I will probably try to use firemouth. But I know that, this other cichlid,
Mhm.
but I would have to, and I would do it, I feel like Guatemala has not a lot of research on how their water is being polluted and how that might affect humans. Or I care about humans, but honestly, I
Yes.
love the diversity of animals and all of the benefits that it gives to us. So I will just go to studying the UV filters and how that affects diversity in lakes or rivers in
I
Guatemala.
love that.
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Do you eat fish?
I do.
Do you think about your research while eating fish? I'm sorry.
No, it's a good so there is a book called it's from Ed Young. If you can read it, definitely
I love
read it.
him.
Okay, and in Men's World, it's a book that he has, and there's a chapter when he talks about pain, right? Because I guess most people think about, oh, you're studying fish, but you kill fish, but you love fish, and how you can kill something you love, and
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
So the thing is, the main problem is you think that they are suffering, but we don't know for sure if they are
Yeah,
feeling
nobody
pain
does.
Don't
or
tell
not.
me they like pain.
So
No, they don't know. We
they
don't know like if they
they
perceive it in the same way.
exactly,
that we do.
because we have to separate. Stress is not the same as pain, right? Like
Right.
I could put you on a pool full of ice, you're gonna be under a lot of stress, but you're not gonna be necessarily on pain,
That's
right?
true.
So stress is not the same as pain, and stress is coded or interpreted in specific areas of your brain. We don't know if the fish can do that. So do they feel? Maybe not, maybe yes, we don't know.
That's a huge thing just in biology
Yeah.
and animals in general, especially if you do behavioral or molecular where you're constantly putting them through.
Yeah.
There's a lot of PETA stuff that we could spend an entire
Hell yeah.
Chapter,
episode just focusing on
Yes.
that. That's such
Yeah.
an interesting issue. Yeah.
Speaking
Yeah,
of
it
Ed John, I also read this book, I Contain Multitudes.
Oh, how was that?
Oh my lord, I recommend this
Yeah.
to anyone who is in science. Go there, find this book and read it.
Yeah.
I just
should.
love it.
I've never heard of
I
it.
took this seminar with Dr. Christine Latin,
Yeah.
and in
Yeah.
that seminar, we read this book.
Okay, I
Oh,
see.
I am reading an in Men's World with Christian too.
Oh, there
Yeah,
we go. It's
but
a
it's-
seminar, right?
Yeah, it's a seminar. It's just a different book, same seminar.
Yeah,
That's
because
awesome.
I
Yeah.
Contain Multitudes is more like focusing micro.
Microbes, yeah, I
And it's
heard
just-
that.
I love that book.
Yeah.
It's so delicious.
That's awesome.
I don't know why I use that
No,
word
I
so
love when
much.
you use delicious. I
Yeah.
think it's awesome. It describes what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
love
got
it.
obsessed with this guy. I know that I Contain Multitudes. You know what is interesting? In that class, in that seminar, there was this girl who was taking that seminar, and I think that she got a postdoc position because she was reading the book and she really liked the research that this professor was doing, and she contacted with her.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I don't know if she actually got the position, but she was very close.
Yeah.
And I just love that writer. Is that scientific writing? How will you describe that writing? Because he writes, but then he cites articles. But what is that?
I think
Yeah.
What do you call that?
I don't know.
style?
I don't know how to call it. I think he's trying to make science fact approachable to people that are not in science. I feel like that's what I like about it. And also what I like is, when you're doing a PhD, everything is about your project. Everything, or at least most of things that you're reading, it's about your project. So you get really narrowed down.
Yeah.
And then you get there is so much to know, and I think that's why we get to, we're scientists, because we just like to know stuff that are cool for us. So reading this book, it's just like I get to know a little bit about all these different things that I'm not necessarily going to be studying, but it's exciting. It's just really cool. Yeah.
Have you read the book, the Hidden Life of Trees?
No.
Is that the one with the fungus? About the fungus?
No,
connecting
that's
trees?
no. Oh gosh, and I have read that book many times and I don't remember the title. What I'm trying to say is that this book is, the writing is very similar to Aeon, but not as deep as it is. I don't know where I was going with that. Okay, so just going back, like, when we are working and reading a lot about what am I going to do for my project, and then you get obsessed with one or two or three professors or three scientists. Who will you say is the professor or scientist that you read the most?
For what I'm doing?
In your field. Like you said, like, oh, I know 3 articles of this person, or I love her or his research.
I wouldn't say I am married to 1, 2, or 3, because I have seen a lot of research done, like in China, but also here in the United States, but also on Japan. So I would say, but they're different. Like every time I pull up a paper and I try to compare, like, oh, have I seen this, write it before?
Right.
And then I try to compare, it's like, oh no, this is a different one, and things like that. So I wouldn't say I have one favorite. Yeah, I would say, like, as long as it provides me good information from my research, I will love that person forever.
Do you, Lisa?
Yeah.
I know collaborators that are doing very similar things to us, that I love their papers, and they're like 6 or 7 papers that are like, what I use, I think, on the daily basis, but I don't really have like an author that I love. You know what I mean? Do you? Is that a common thing? That's awesome.
I have 3.
Really? Okay.
And always like checking on what do they have. But I think it's because their research is very similar with what I want to do in the future.
Yeah.
So I have like Dr. Adriana Romero Olivares from New Mexico. I just love her research so much. Yeah. Sofia Gomez, and then it's another professor in Germany. So I just like, every time there is a new paper of them, it's like I need to read it because I just
that's probably so really good for keeping up with like what's new in your field and what's like the cutting edge research that's happening with that specifically has to do with you. That's probably a good way to.
Yeah. Well, an advice that I got from one of my committee members, and it's actually really good, is go to PubMed, let's say once a week, and then just use the same, words that you use, keywords, whatever, and then just look at the latest articles that are on those topics, and then you get to like, oh, what is the latest that we have this time? That's and then you just kind of like read the abstract, go through it, and like, is this something I can use for later? Is this something I should be adding to my own work?
Right.
Or is it something it's showing something I haven't thought about it, and it's like, oh, this would be cool to study too, So I think that was a good thing too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how involved are you on campus, the student community?
So right now I am part of BioGrad's committee, which is basically, a group of students that we are interested in improving the life of graduate students.
How do you improve the life of
how we try to improve the life?
Yes, how we try.
We try really hard. So
you can talk about your buddy program that you had.
Yeah.
So
So we have different things. Like we have different activities. We have like something called coffee chats. Basically, we ask different faculty members to come to, like this, just to have like a casual conversation with all students. And then students get to ask questions about their research or their personal life, or hey, how do you balance work with your personal life, or how did you do to get a postdoc position, or how do you need to get into this conference, or whatever. So that's something we do. We also held a program. We also have like something called a body program, in which we try to connect old students, with the new coming students, and then we pair them so the new students don't necessarily feel lost in their first semester. Because when you're a first student, you don't know anybody or anything. Like, you don't know where you should live, to who I should talk to about this. I remember for the first 2 years, I didn't even know we had a WhatsApp group in which, right, like bio, all grad students in the biology department, there is a WhatsApp group where everyone is there. You can ask questions or ask advice, or I didn't know about that. So I think that biograds makes a good job trying to connect new students with all the different resources that the biological departments has.
Yeah, and that's something that didn't exist before you started, so.
Yeah, that's true.
We didn't have really many resources at all. We didn't know where to live. We didn't know who to ask,
who to talk to about whatever.
Yeah.
Difference between what you ask to Elizabeth, which is, or Shimin, which is, Shimin, I think you go everything related to class or when you want to do your general exam, and then Elizabeth is more like, when to use the la carte card, and it's just different. You don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
So you are an international student. So as one, what is the most difficult aspect that you had faced, like in terms of visa renewals, healthcare, being far from home? How do you manage all that?
So, to answer the first question, the hardest thing, I think, at first, it was just, I thought I spoke and understood English, and then I came here and realized I didn't. Because you have so many accents, right? People from Louisiana have so many different accents, and then LSU get people from all around the world, right? You get people from India, from different parts of Latin America. You get people from China, from Japan. So it's really nice because you have a big diversity, but getting used to speaking in English and getting used to hearing English in different accents, it's hard. So that was the first thing that was hard. And then you said finding a balance between work and personal life, that was hard because, when you're a student, you're like, oh, you have homework and you have to do, and all your life is about all your homeworks and that's it. But then you become a PhD student, but you also have to teach, you have to TA, and then you also have to have classes. And on top of that, you have your project. So you have to find a balance, like where, how, all of that was hard. Time, talking to other people, that helped a lot. Like when I ask people, like, am I, investing this time in teaching is good, or and people will be like, no, you're investing too much time, you should invest less in this and more in your research. Or, hey, I see that you are working from Monday to Sunday, but you need time to rest because that's kind of, we need sleep. So it's time, is you finding your limits, and you telling people what are your limits to whatever, and then just little by little you get better. Now, being far from home, I would say at first it was hard, but it was not easily, but I would say I started here with an amazing roommate, Diego Cueva. He's from Colombia, but he works he studies at the museum department, and he basically just present me to all of his friends, and he just include me to all of his groups. And then that was nice because I was able to know more people. And then I also met Diego Paredes, who was on the show too, and then Luis Jadiel, who also present to me a lot of people. So that was nice because then I got a big community of other Latino people that made me feel really at home. But also I got to know other people, like Wissam, who was president of the Biograds one time, and he also presented to me other people's. And then I became part of Biograds, and then I met,
now
other,
I'm
and then
from the university.
Yeah, and then little by little, I got to know more people, and I think now I feel like home. Now I feel comfortable. Like if I find a positive position in here, I wouldn't complain. I would be I will happily stay here.
That's
honestly,
awesome.
it's nice.
That's so
cool.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't know if I could say that about Louisiana, but I
I'm not
really
staying
do.
here.
I really do like the student body here. I
Yeah.
think they care a lot,
Yeah.
and I think it's very like comforting and welcoming, and so
Yeah.
I definitely agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And what will you say to any PhD student who is struggling right now? Like, let's say this is their this is their first semester, and they are like, I just got here, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm struggling. Should I leave? What would you tell them?
I would say don't leave. I would say the thing is like struggling a little bit, it's part of life, you know. Every starting point is going to be harder than the end of it, just because you're new to everything, right? And you need to learn everything from scratch. Socializing is hard, and I don't mean socializing just like how do you find friends, but also like what PI do you talk when you don't know about how to do something? How do you increase your your knowledge in the administrative department, or all of that. So I would say don't leave. Just ask questions. I'm sure that it's hard to ask questions because you don't want to feel dumb or stupid, or you're a little bit ashamed. But I would say look for committees like biograds who are basically there exactly for that reason, to help new students to feel more welcome. So I would say share your struggles with other people. You're going to find people that are having the same struggles than you. Don't feel ashamed of that, and be open to know other people so they can help you with it, So, yeah.
And what about someone who is about to TA for the first time, and as you and I, Spanish is the first language?
I would say for what helped me a lot is I attended to another person's TAing just to see how it was done. That would be the first thing I did. Second thing is prepare yourself before class, because some people think like, oh, I already have the presentation done, so I don't have to prepare anything, and then just go. And it's like, no, don't do that. Like, what actually helped me a lot was I did mock TAing in my house. Like I had my presentation and I imagined that I have all my students there, and I just presented to this invisible group of people. And then after doing once, I felt like better because I knew, I got stuck in this slide because I didn't exactly know how to explain this. Maybe I should just read a little bit more about that. And then that helped me a lot, because once I was in class, then I already knew where I struggled a little bit, so I did an extra effort to cover that up, and then all the students' questions and all of that got better. Now, another thing, and this is something that happened to a TA, is obviously you get nervous because you're teaching in a different language. You're not used to that. And this is something that happened to me and to another TA this semester. And it was like, there was some students that they did some comments like, Latinos outside of US and things like that. And I would say...
During your class?
Yeah, during class. So this happened to one of the TAs this semester. To me, happened at the beginning. And it was more like, these students was like, I don't understand why people who don't speak English get to teach this class. And I was just starting. So it was like... It was tough because you're trying your best, and then you get that. It's like, okay. I would say it's good for you to, just be prepared to that kind of responses and know how to react, right?
But how did you
should
what
have
was
never
your
even
reaction?
had to
That's
deal
the
with
thing.
that.
At first, I was like, okay. And then I thought, I talked to a student and I said, hey, it's really disrespectful of you to say this kind of stuff, because A, I'm trying my best. 2, I fully understand if my accent somehow it's hard for you to understand. If you don't understand something, you can let me know, and I will explain again, and try to make it clear. But it's not okay from you just to say that kind of stuff. And then if that student does not change its attitude, you just go directly to your boss, right? Or the person in charge of that course. and then that person will do what it had to do, right? Usually you just write a report about misconduct and yada yada. But I think like it's good for us to know that those kind of things can happen.
Yeah.
Just for you to be prepared for that and know how to react in the best way.
Yeah.
Because we are humans, and sometimes you will think like the best thing to say is to get mad or to cry, and it's like, no. You have to be prepared. That's gonna happen. It's
Yeah.
not.
You know
don't
what
take
I
it like
did?
it's personal.
Yeah.
What I did was, of course, I unaware that I have a strong accent when I speak English, right? So the first day that I was TAing, hi, my name is Evelyn Reyes. I'm from Honduras. As you guys can tell, I have an accent.
Yeah.
And I have zero problem with my accent. And I can repeat myself 1, 2, 3, 4 times, even 10 if you need me to. My job here is that you understand what I'm trying to explain to you. If after 10 times you still do not understand, I can write you an email because I'm really good at writing.
Yeah.
So they can, and I even tell them like, hey, during the presentations, I will probably not know how to pronounce a word, and I will ask you for help, right? So first day, I let them know that I'm aware that I have an accent. I even tell them, if you want to laugh about my accent, go ahead and do it. Help me to improve. And then somehow they are like, okay. But I don't know how I will react if someone is like, oh, get out of here, Latinos, or something like that. No, I don't know.
Yeah. You both seem like you handled it super gracefully. You handled it very gracefully. I don't know what I would do. I've never been put in that situation. I probably will never that's a good way to handle it.
Yeah, just to be prepared, you know. I think
you shouldn't
that
have
would
to
be...
handle stuff like that either.
No, never. And what about making small mistakes in your lab? Because I think that when you are new to a lab, you are so scared, right? Oh, I don't want to touch this. I don't want to break this.
Yeah.
And then you're running your experiment and it went wrong and you're so scared. How do you communicate with your PI? I did this and it's wrong.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely that's a hard call because you don't want to be like, hey, I screwed up. But truth is, I think like you just have to accept you're human and you're gonna make mistakes, and it's not gonna be the first one or like you always gonna make a mistake. So this is something my late PI told me, and I feel so good about it because he told me, Daleth, it's not about not making mistakes, it's about not repeating them. And that made me feel so good because I felt, okay, I can make mistakes. I just don't have to, try to pay attention to not repeat them. And that was really good. So I feel like part of the stress of not wanting to make a mistake is kind of good because it keeps you attentive to what you're doing. But if you allow it to overwhelm you, you're going to be more prone to make mistakes. So yes, accept you're going to make mistakes, but also don't let it overwhelm you because that's only going to make it worse, right? And also feel free to just be like, hey, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I don't know how to fix it. Or if you already know how to fix it, I would say my PI was, had a better attitude whenever I came to him and be like, hey, I made a mistake, but I already fixed it. Like I did my effort, I worked through it, and then I fixed it. And they'll be like, oh, okay, fine, that's great, whatever. So awesome. Also try to fix it before you go to the PI. Or if you have like a postdoc person or somebody who's been more years than you, I would say for me the rule was I would go first to the last person I would go would be like my PI. Yeah. I will be first, like somebody who had more experience than me, like, hey, I had this, it's not working, how can I fix it? And then that person will help me. And if then all of them could not help me, then I could go to my PI like, hey, I already tried all of this. All of this person helped me. I did my best. Now I need you to come in and do something about it.
That's a really good way to do it. Yeah. So what about, let's say that you have planned, I'm going to get my PhD done in 4 years, but then your project is taking longer than you expected. How do you manage that? How do...
Crying and having a couple wine bottles. Hope.
Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Peace to me.
Truth is, when you're doing a PhD, you're gonna get frustrated, and that's fine.
It is
Yeah.
fine.
How do
I
you
feel-
handle your frustration?
Well,
Punching.
Yeah.
A lot of punching.
It
in the gym.
depends.
Kickboxing class.
yeah,
Um,
I'd say I climb. Well, I used to climb. I hurt myself, so I'm not climbing more. Having a hobby.
Will you be
Hope.
able to do it again or no?
Yes, next year. Next year.
Okay,
next
good.
year, yes.
Yay.
I don't know. Handle stress is different every day. I feel like
Mhm.
sometimes it's
Tequila
just
shots.
yeah. Sometimes for me it's enough just to go outside the department, go around the building, and
Yeah.
come back to the office and try it again. Sometimes it's like, you know what, I'm done for the day. I'm just going home. Sometimes it's just like, no, I just want to be by myself. Sometimes I don't want to be with anybody. Sometimes I just want to be by myself, feeling miserable and being like, you know what, I'm just gonna allow myself to feel this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna embrace it.
your emotions.
Exactly, embrace the misery I'm feeling, and then take a deep breath after how much time I need, and then move on.
That's really good.
So
that's a really good way to
I
do
guess
it.
it's different for everyone. As long as it doesn't take you, don't stay stuck for too long. I would say
Yeah.
that in your misery. It's okay to feel stress. Every day will come with a different stress, a stressful time. Just you can share it. When I talk to people and they are like, hey, yes, I'm struggling with it. And then you have multiple people complaining about similar stuff. That somehow makes you feel good.
Yeah,
So I guess
for
finding a group when you can all complain at the same time, I guess, that helps. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you read for fun or do you only read about your research nowadays?
I read the book of Ed Young during the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know that I knew about the seminar. I was like, well, I already read it. I might as well just join and revisit, because we also read some papers about this topic.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's a book I read for fun in the summer. And I think Santa had a book about evolution too.
Yeah,
Ooh, this year it came out. I think I'm gonna read that.
that's awesome.
What about
Yeah.
non-science books?
Well, that's a good. I don't think I read known science books. No, it's everything about science.
No, that's good.
It's
then
all
you
about
keep your head in
science.
the.
Daleth, all about science.
Yeah. For me, I think things that I do that are not sciencey is sports. I said I like to swim. I like to climb. Now I'm going to the barre class or
What is
bar
that?
class.
Bar.
It's like
It's like a ballet.
yeah, it's a
kind
ballet
of, but
mix.
it's more exercise
Yeah,
based.
really good for your glutes
Never done that.
if you're trying to work on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome.
What do
Yeah.
you do?
Huh?
What do you? Oh, you do frisbee, right?
I do frisbee. Yeah,
Oh,
that's a
we're
new
supposed to do
development.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a game. How do you call it with frisbee? Like you have like a thing here, and then this small like hole, and you have
Okay.
to.
That's okay. Common misconception. That's disc golf.
Oh,
Ultimate
disc
frisbee is like it's like soccer and football mixed together. but with
Oh,
a
I
disc.
thought frisbee.
That's okay. Frisbee. It is a frisbee that you're throwing in disc golf as
Uh,
well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, but it's like tag football. You ever played tag football?
Yeah.
But,
Do
like,
you
with
have
a
the little
disc.
thing is?
Yeah, so it's like a non-contact sport, and it's with a disc. So you have to
Oh.
throw the disc. You can't walk with it, and then there's like end zones where if you catch the disc in the end zone, you get a point, right?
Cool. I like that.
And so it's a lot of running. It's a lot of I don't know. The community here is really cool. That's a new development, though.
That's good.
But I think
Yeah.
running.
Maybe you
and,
guys
like,
can put together like a little tournament for biograds.
Oh, that would be
I'll come
cool.
and
I've been trying to get
I'll come and
people
play.
in the biological sciences to play frisbee with me. All of the people that I've talked to,
You invited me, but
They're my
I was
friends.
traveling that.
I
weekend.
remember.
Yes,
Well, they
and I
do it
will
every
go.
Sunday. You guys.
Every Sunday,
You
okay.
should come with.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. I don't know if your injury can. It's
Yeah.
just running.
Yeah.
and-
I
As
can't do
long
that.
as it's not your throwing hand.
Yeah, what I can't do is just pull my whole body. That I can't do.
Yeah.
But I don't need to
So
do
you
that.
have
in
Yeah, no,
physical.
you would
It's just
arms,
like
right?
What?
Yeah, when you climb, you have
Yeah,
really
you have-
strong arms.
Yeah, you get strong arms. Well, that's the thing.
That's the
People,
misconception.
I was gonna say, people think that just because you have like this
Show your
muscles, yeah, just because you have those muscles, and it's like, no, it's all about this muscles
Yeah.
and your hand muscles.
Yeah, I've seen guys that
Wow.
climb. They just have forearms as big as their biceps.
Yeah.
And they look like,
Yeah.
they walk on all fours all the time. time.
Yeah.
That's good. No, I love soccer. I mean, you came to see me many times playing. I love soccer. I love yoga. Finally, I'm going back to the gym. I seen that it was time, so I'm feeling good. I'm feeling better. But I wish I like physical. How do you say, like physical sports? When I think
Like boxing
Yeah.
and
yes,
things.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
I have boxing gloves that I never use.
well,
if you
girl,
want
yes,
some,
please, I
There,
can
I think they
borrow
have
them.
classes at the recreation center.
They did.
Do they not anymore? Because I remember I took a class and then I ended up having class at that time, so I could never do it. I used my boxing gloves once.
I try to go, but the teacher never show up. So I guess it's not there anymore.
That stinks.
I went to one class before, like dancing, because I love dancing, and then the instructor, she was doing like very fancy moves, and I was like, no, I was thinking more about like Zumba classes, not this class.
Yeah. There's
They are very
Zumba.
There is Zumba
There is
and
Zumba.
UREC,
Yeah.
but it's later. It's like I think it's from 8 to 9 or 9 to 10 p.m. So it's like, at that time
you
I'm
can't work
already
out
home.
that.
I need to
Yeah.
exercise in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I cannot do it at night. I have to get up and start moving. Yeah. So how active are you on social media?
Oh, I'm terrible.
Terrible.
I literally have Facebook, and I only use it for looking at some TikTok videos that I found funny, you know, and that's basically, I look at, people from home that most of them already transitioned to Twitter or the other thing that is not Twitter anymore. It's like another thing instead of Twitter. I don't remember. Anyway, Instagram or another thing. Like, I don't even know the apps because I don't use them. I literally only have Facebook. I think I may have Snapchat, maybe.
Instagram.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I open it to just,
See what's up.
look at somebody.
Yeah.
And then
TikTok.
through Facebook.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's probably better. I definitely have a love-hate relationship with all social media, so that's probably better to limit.
Have you heard about Reddit?
Yes, I've heard about it. Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, yes. You know the drill. We're going to read and then you're going to answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is from Mundo123 and on r/PhD, and their question is, what does it mean when someone says they enjoy the process of learning? Hi all, potential ADHDer and math graduate student who has always been unsure what people are referring to when they say they enjoy the process of learning. For context, whenever I read math or solve problems, I feel A, neutral most of the time unless some surprising result or theorem arises, in which case dopamine floods my brain, or B, a kiddish excitement or satisfaction at having the opportunity to do math in the first place. So not really a joy at the process of thinking through problems and coming up with solutions themselves, but a joy at the mere idea of doing math. The process itself has never generated dopamine, which worries me. For this reason, what does enjoying the process of learning mean to you? And if even a matter of dopamine or something that transcends dopamine.
Yeah. Okay, so I would say I completely agree with what this person was saying. It's like sometimes you're going through the process and you're neutral to it. You're just like reading through it and it's like, okay, whatever, cool. And sometimes you struggle through it and you're like, this is so hard. But also at the same time, there is this other scenario, this third scenario in which while you're doing things, you're already thinking about what the possible result is going to be and you're already excited about it. You're like, okay. And small things like, okay, let's say I'm setting up a gel for electrophoresis and then I'm thinking about all of these little parts that needs to be inside of, it. And then I know what is the purpose of it thing. What is the purpose of the gel? What is the purpose of the liquid that helps to your DNA frequencies to move through the column and yada yada, all of that, just to put it in the right order from negative to positive. I don't know, all those things. I feel excited about it. Just to know that I know this stuff, that's exciting for me. Also is, if we talk about this other scenario in which you're struggling through something, and this earlier on we were talking about how I'm using R. First time I use R. it's been incredibly difficult. It's like, I don't understand what is not working. And then I realized it was just like a comma or like a dot that's forgetting, or, quotation mark or whatever. But then when I make it work and I can see my graph, I'm like, not even the graph. Today I got excited just because R was able to, it was accepting the text file, and it was transforming it into a table. And that got me really excited. I was like, this is me working my ass off. And this is the result. And I feel good about it because I feel accomplished. And for me, that's what I mean when I say enjoy the process. Not like, it does not necessarily mean that like you're happy all the time, because happiness is something you get every now and then. You most of your time you're in this neutral place. But then you get these moments where you feel like really happy, or you get frustrated. But it's different, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what people mean.
Yeah, for real, definitely.
For me, yeah.
What about for you?
What does it mean when someone says they enjoy the process of learning? Okay, so my case, I have to mention the university where I come from, Universidad Nacional de Agricultura. So our saying or slogan, I don't really know, is learning by doing, right? So I enjoy the process of learning because I know that I'm doing something, and I enjoy it more if I can actually touch everything. Like, I need to do these experiments. I need to be able to touch. I need to be able to feel. Because I'm learning by doing. So that's the process. I'm like a physical touch kind of person. So if I touch my organisms, or even with art, like I need to understand what's going on, and then I need to picture everything in my mind. And even if I make mistakes, it's part of the process. Of course, sometimes when I'm reading like an article and it's very far from what I'm doing and I get a little frustrated, as you say, frustration is part of the process. It's like, that is actually a motivation for me, because like I need to understand this. I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I need to understand this. So enjoying the process for me is, okay, I understand and I know that I don't know everything and I also don't know anything, but I'm here willing to learn. So that's my opinion. I don't know.
For sure.
What about you?
I don't think I understood like the enjoyment of learning until like my second year here. I think that in undergrad, we were talking about this. In undergrad, I just kind of skated by and they said, do your homework. And I did my homework and I studied and I got good grades, whatever. And then here, I come here and I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of interested in this, but like, whatever. And then my advisor will be like, all right, well, what do you want to know? And I'm like, I don't know. What should I want to know? What do you mean? Yeah, exactly. And so then I actually got into like understanding. I think that also comes with like how much you understand. You start becoming confident in your skills, and then you start like actually having these questions, and these questions become exciting. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that builds up to it. All right, Daleth, are there any last minute advice that you want to give to new graduate students that might be coming in and they're trying to find a place and a PI? What would you say to them?
Yeah. Well, first I would say it would be good if they could not only talk to the PI, but also talk to the students that are on the lab. If they can have like a personal meeting without the PI. And don't be shy to ask. Give me 5 things you love about your PI, and give me 5 things you don't love about you. And then you get the good, the pros and cons. Yeah. And then, as honest people can be, the better for you, because you always heard things. You always heard some people do a really good job choosing a PI and a lab, but also some people don't. And it's not only about the PI, also it's sometimes about the lab environment. I know that there are people inside the lab that will be willing to help you out through your career, and that's really important. Like, to be honest, you cannot doing science by your own. That's not impossible. Science, it's about community. Yes. If you try to do everything by your own, you're gonna fail. So it's important for you to have someone who's gonna help you out, and then you can help those people out later on as you are gaining experience and all of that. So I would say that would be really good. asking around, asking the tough questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that too.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Daleth. Thank you for listening to another episode of Research Flow. We're really excited to have Daleth with us, and
Thank
we're
you.
really excited to be here with you guys. So thank you so much.
Yeah. See you next time.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.